And we're live. Welcome to Flow State. I'm Taylor. I'm back online. Just got internet in the house after a long downtime. The crews could not hook up new houses during coronavirus, so I've been without streaming and stuck on my cell phone for fucking forever now. Anyways, I'm here with Trey.
What's up?
Did you take your cloak off? Was that a cloak?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I took my cloak off.
And Trey's gonna explain. What do you take it, Trey?
All right, yeah. Okay, so I'm here because I made a post on Facebook on the World Socionics Society Facebook page. And Taylor thought it was super nice to be heard.
Brilliant.
So I went ahead. Yeah, well, that's what you said. You were like, wow, feels nice to be heard.
He explained, if I recall right, the post was about how to communicate with an SLE. And it was mostly directed at EIIs and
IEs.
the Delta Quadriphylers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those long, multiple paragraph posts that I almost never read. But since it was about me, I read this one. And it was really great. It explained shit that I would have never even thought to explain about myself.
Right.
So I asked,
read it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. It says clarification for EIIs and IEEs. I've seen an SLE fight with you guys way too much, so I'm going to explain what goes through an SLE's mind when they are so stubborn and opposing you. An SLE is not arguing with you. The SLE is arguing with the principle in which you're fighting for. Once, I watched an SLE get really upset in an argument, and I didn't quite understand why it was so irritating to him, because it didn't seem to matter in the long run. It actually made me laugh at him because I didn't understand the severity. It seemed like a really small thing. I was like, why is he getting so upset about this? It's like literally laughable. Then he pointed out why. It wasn't the situation that bothered him. It was that principle of operating and how it expanded across the world. He was listing how this argument or principle of living manifests across his whole life, how it affects his life due to the government making laws based on this principle, how it affects him in relation to others. He was upset not because of the situation or the person. He was arguing against a principle that presents its consequences across his experience. I read the conversations with EIIs or IEEs with SLEs, and I find that one, they aren't talking about the same thing at all. And two, the EII or IE is usually like, Jesus, this guy really doesn't like me. Why does he dislike me so much? Whereas the SLE would fight just as hard, regardless of the person making the argument. But I can see the difference still existing based on how the person's arguing their point. Personalizing it or making it about his disposition to you, rather than the principle or logic behind the methodology or approach, will only frustrate the SLE because you may make the argument against the SLE that aren't really central to the point he's hoping to drive at. So the whole point of the post was to clear it up, because I've seen so many arguments where they think it's about them, and I'm seeing the two of them, and I'm like, okay, you are vastly misunderstanding them, and they're vastly misunderstanding you. But that's like, I think that's one of the prime reasons, is because the Delta NFs typically think that it's about them, and that they're like really they're getting amped up and passionate at you, where it's not at you, it's at the principle that's being discussed.
Yeah, and I want to just reiterate that, because anytime I've ever said that to anybody, it's always been like in the heat of the argument when they already think I'm mad at them, and so of course it doesn't really catch then. But that is absolutely true. Keep in mind we're FI polar, so no matter how emotional or volatile or personal we may feel coming at you, it's not truly that personal. It's really not.
Right.
And it's almost always the topic. If it becomes personal, the minute it becomes personal, you'll know it, because the tone of the conversation absolutely changes from "you're wrong and this is why" to "you're a fucking piece of shit."
Yeah.
And that's real rare, but that is something
that does happen sometimes.
It does,
Can
but
happen.
it's real rare. Only when people are arguing in bad faith. If I think somebody's having a discussion in good faith with me and they've got an opposing point of view, I'll deal with them all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute I feel like somebody's arguing in bad faith, then shit hits the fan, sort of.
Do you feel like deal with them is the appropriate way to phrase that?
Probably it was probably a little bit of a superiority complex seeping through there, but I do feel like if you've got two opposing views, one should be able to surface logically. There should,
Right.
So I deal with them or they deal with me, however it is. But when we're arguing like that, I want a resolution. There needs to be a winning concept out of this. And I'm okay with being wrong. I would rather be wrong in an argument and lose a position in a debate than I would to continue being wrong. I don't want to continue being wrong. So if I'm wrong about something, I want you to inform me of it. And if
it's a good day if you were wrong.
Huh?
It's a good day if you were wrong and you found out about it.
It is. It actually is a good day if I'm wrong. But when people start assuming that my passion is personal, and especially if somebody says, "Well, you just don't like me," or tries to undermine my arguing point into the realm of just personal maliciousness, it's really a roadblock to progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole thing happened because one day Damon was like on Facebook. He was like arguing with somebody, and he just started getting like really worked up. And I was like, "Why are you so upset, man?" Like, because it just seemed like something really small, like and insignificant. And he was like, dude, he was losing it, bro. Like, I thought something was wrong with him, bro. He's going insane. I'm about to call a fucking psych ward, bro. Like, and then eventually he explained it, and he was like, no, like, this is bigger than just this. It's it's not just here. It's not just this moment. It's not just this situation. Like, I don't really give a shit about what's happening here. It's about how it affects my life in all of these different ways. Because I literally started laughing at him. He was sitting here pissed off, and he was like getting angry and worked up, and I was like, I don't understand. Like, I just started laughing because it just seemed like he was making it so ridiculous, and it became comical for a moment. Like, oh my god, like it just sounded like he wasn't upset about like much. It was like complaining that something small happened, like, I don't know, like your coffee was taking longer to make than usual. Like, why would someone get like this pissed off about it? But come to find out, it was actually bigger than that. It actually applied to more things, and it wasn't just. It was a principle of operating. It's a logical principle of operating.
Right.
Like this is how I choose to make my decision making, and when I see other people choose to make decision making that doesn't make sense, and it affects people in these ways, then it's shitty. And so when you see the same principle or the same principle of operating from several different vectors of your life, really probably would irritate you to the point where if you saw it again and it was just the last straw, you'd be pissed off.
I've seen him do that, and it is really, he and I both agree that I think we both sort of take it for granted that it's critical that somebody has sort of a guiding principle or thought or person or something. There's something that's sort of pulling a person's whole worldview. And then there's rules within that about how you approach things, but it's all structured towards a priority. And that consistent formula lets you not have to investigate every issue from scratch. And we think that everybody operates that way. And if anybody doesn't operate that way, that they should operate that way. And it gives you a great it anchors you in a world that's constantly spinning opposing information at you, like coronavirus. I've had very solid opinions the whole way through, every step of the way through this pandemic, and none of them I had to investigate from scratch. It was already fit into my worldview, my value hierarchy, and my system. So if there's an error in the system, which there is from time to time, we want those to be worked out even way more than we want somebody else to agree with us.
Mm-hmm. And that's something I want to say too, is that that's something I've always admired about SLEs, is that they get really worked up about stuff. You know, it's like I couldn't convince myself to get that passionate about something, like if I tried. You know what I mean? So when you see someone get like really passionate about something, and it's something that's relating to, I don't know, like to me, like things that should be done a certain way in the world, like things that cause problems in the world that probably need to be worked out, probably need to be fixed. You know, it's like, to me, it's important. So,
I mean, it makes sense though if you think about it from just ego functions, right? We're using TI. TI is our ego function, our ego decider. So we need to have that there. Mm-hmm. You're a beta as well, so you get invested in sort of social issues, or humanity as a whole. But you approach it through, if I understand correctly, more of an FE way. You understand the people. You understand this topic right here. So this is your forte. That's our forte. I don't know how dolphins have a forte. It seems like they take every situation completely from scratch to an extent.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
I think it's a little bit more complicated than that.
I was being a little bit facetious, but
yeah, I mean,
they do seem to treat each individual incident individually to a greater degree than our quadra does, certainly. And they also they're the quadra of what is it? Good intention. They assume the benefit of the doubt a lot longer than we will.
Yeah, I think there's I think for them, they're pretty good at being extremely respectful. And I remember one time I was talking to IE, and I started noticing that she'd do these things, like she'd ask me if I wanted to hear her opinion on what I was saying.
Who?
An IE.
Do I know her?
No. So anyways, she'd asked me if I wanted to hear her opinion on something, and it like made me realize that I was kind of being like almost insensitive to a degree, because I wasn't asking, I was just telling her what my opinion was. You know what I mean? Like I would just, I just throw it at her, and then when she had something to say to me, she'd always ask permission, and I like noticed that, and I was like, oh fuck, it was like that FI demonstrative, you know. I picked it up, but I was like, oh, I'm not doing this actively. There's something wrong. I should probably be paying more attention.
I've noticed that with deltas. There's a conversational procedure that's different from betas.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciated it, but I was also like, oh shit, there's a higher standard here. You know what I mean? I need to work on that.
And I lose track of that all the time. Even when I try to remember it, of course, conversation moving at that pace is really diplomatic and tedious for me for long. But I do try to be cognizant of it, and I just can't. I just can't keep it in my fucking head. How do you deal with people who argue because they found something small wrong with the dominant position, but their solution is much worse overall, even if they fix that small thing? I personally don't fuck with people like that because they sound like toxic douchebags.
Wait, what does he mean, dominant position? Do you know? Oh, like
I think he means the overall. Overall,
Okay.
they've got a worse position, a weaker position, but they found a toehold in yours. So think of like a grammar Nazi or somebody who comes by and shits on your thing, on your position, because they found an easy access point. At least that's how I'm interpreting it.
Bro, it's so funny you say that, grammar Nazi, because I literally had a conversation with Lau the other day where I was giving him shit like for an hour about him saying a word wrong. And like I didn't let it go for like literally an hour. We were arguing about it. So it's really funny because he's here making the fucking comment, and then you use the example of grammar Nazi, and I literally just gave him shit the other day for this very thing. Maybe he's talking about me here.
Maybe he is. Or maybe, I love it when people ask me clearly one-sided questions, because the obvious other option is maybe their position is correct and they're hammering you on a critical element.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's something. I think that's something. Like I said, like it's not just passion that I admire, but like I find that for me, when I'm exploring a concept or an idea, like I feel like I can be pretty versatile, but the only thing I don't seem to really have or do very well. SLEs literally have like a structure that they use for decision making, and it's something that's refined as they move along and as they experience the world. They come into a situation that's like, oh, I need to account for this, and then they restructure, they build it, and they like create a new metric or something, and that's something I feel like SLEs are more likely to stray from it because sometimes they have something they want to do and they won't stick to the TI.
We do it. It's in a similar vein as what LSIs do, but it's not nearly so visible or so rigid.
Right.
At the end of the day, I'll for sure break that shit. Yeah. But I want to be aware of when I'm breaking it, right? I want to know, all right, I'm breaking my rules here because I want to. I don't want to be confused about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, and that's pretty cool because I feel like I have a hard time like having like a rule system for my decision making, and to like really have it thought through and be like, oh, this is to me, like the moment I try answering one of those questions, like how should I do something? How should I decide to go about things? It's like, to me, there's so many options and so many point of views, and like I get lost in it and I can't even conclude on one. So I think it's pretty admirable to just be able to like have it so straightforward and clear cut that you can just follow it. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, a big part of it is priorities, structuring your own priorities, and another big part of it is.
Oh, you mean TE?
Is it?
You mean TE? I mean prioritizing, kind of.
Well, I mean, for me, it's kind of an FI thing. I think my daughter's number one priority, right? So you can toss me any situation, and I'll pretty easily be able to sift through, is this better or is that better for my daughter? Overall, most likely. And generally anything that affects me will affect her. And I don't know, it's just very natural. My entire life, every single thing has always been a risk-reward analysis. Before I knew what a risk-reward analysis was, it just makes sense. Of course, I always undervalue the risks.
Yeah.
But I think that's just a personal flaw. What types do you as an SLE have the easiest time communicating with and the hardest? I think that I have the easiest time communicating with LSIs, or ISTPs, because we basically speak the same language, and LSI, there's a sense of relief that they have when they meet somebody who's not an idiot. They get sort of this, oh my God, you understand me, you're not a dumbass. And so it's cool. Then we can start driving real well. IEIs or INFJs are, of course, incredibly easy conversationalists. I'd say those are probably the two easiest. I get along well with ISFPs, surprisingly, because they're temperamental people, but at least in socionics.
You watch Star Trek at all?
I don't.
No?
Mm-mm.
Well, one of the characters, his name's Bones. He's a friend of the captain's, Captain Kirk, who's a SLE. And you always see Bones, that supervisor relation. Like, he always calls Kirk out when Kirk's doing something selfish and shit, you know, like calling his motivations out. And it's actually like a productive relationship. Like, he relies on him and seeks counsel. So
yeah, it is kind of nice having that buffer point. If the person is somebody whose judgment I trust. There's a lot, ESIs are one of those hit or miss types where I get along with most of them, but there's about a quarter of them or a third of them who we just cannot fucking stand each other. So.
Yeah, it's fun. I know SEs really usually don't like SLEs either.
Who doesn't?
SEs. It's like they're like annoying to each other. I've known a few of them that recently like had another one around and they were like, that person annoys the fuck out of me.
SEs and SLEs?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm socialized with them or what, but I sort of get them. I was married to one. I grew up playing sports and working in construction and being in jail. I've just been around SEEs my whole life. And so there's a certain point where we just ultimately, I get the sense, especially from male SEEs, that they just can never get quite comfortable with me because they can't attach on an FI level. And I think that that's a little bit unsettling for them. But at the same time, I just wish I could connect on a TI level at some point. So I don't know. I get along well with them, but I know how to interact.
Yeah.
I've also fought more with them than any other type. That's for sure.
ESI?
SEE.
SE. Well, that makes sense.
Isn't that who we were talking about?
Yeah. Sorry, I just lost it.
Oh, yeah, no. No, ESIs don't really fight that much. They're kind of a peaceful people.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean.
What type do you have the easiest and hardest time communicating with?
Oh. LSE. Yeah. I have had, I don't really find myself around them very often. But I have had a few interactions where like literally didn't even get a chance to meet each other. Like I think I said something and they just like, well, that's fucking stupid or something like that. Like really rough and like just like not even necessary, like like just mean, you know? And I remember there was one interaction where like they did that and it provoked me a little bit. So I just started like explaining myself, like with TI. Basically they were telling a story and I like saw the story, but an analogy like popped out, like same structure of the story, but like a different story. And it was like much funnier in my opinion. So like, I was like, oh, so it's kind of like this, right? And I told that story and they were like, he was like, no, not at fucking all. What are you talking about? Right. And And I was like, oh, well, I just took your story, took its structure, and put it on something that was much funnier. I was like, it's the same thing, same premise, but like different situation. And he was like, yeah, dude. He's like, I have like no and I. So, and that was like the nicest an LSE's ever been right there to me. It's like just kind of rude, but like at least he admitted some fault, like I just don't get what you're saying. Like, there we go. I can work with that a little bit,
Yeah, I bet you don't get along well with them. Nobody
Yeah.
really gets along well with them. They're a hard type for everybody to get along well with.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's the opinion I get from people just in forums and on Facebook and stuff. I get along well with them. I think I understand them well, and I know how to go along with things and whatever. Did you watch Benjamin's uh, interview with C.S. Joseph the other day?
Mm-mm.
Oh, he
Wait,
interviewed.
really?
Mm-hmm.
On whose channel?
On Benjamin's.
Oh, yeah? That's probably
Yep.
good for him.
It was. I know, and I know Andy was there. It was a fantastic display of TE as fuck.
Really?
Yeah. Huh?
Between both of them?
No. Chase Benjamin is a TI down TISE, but I think that discussion really answered a lot of questions about what type Chase really is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I was just about to say that I feel like LSIs and LSEs are pretty similar in a lot of ways. Like they don't have the fun banterish nature that like SLE has. I feel like the LSI might be a little bit warmer, but I feel like they're both like bruntish, like blunt or
Yeah, the thing is with an LSE, they're so fast and so forward moving. They just don't. I don't feel like you're going to have a conversation that explores shit, right? And conversation with you are exploratory, in my experience. It's very exploratory conversations. LSEs have very pragmatic conversations, and to the extent that you explore a topic, it's only so that you know how to do it most
right.
efficiently. How much does someone's visual appearance communicate about a person? What things do you look for? For me, a shitload, but it's more about their facial expression, their posture, how they carry themselves, their body language and micro expressions, than it is about their clothes. So, Trey?
Probably not a lot.
Right.
I feel like watching the person in action or how they respond to different things is a good way of getting to know people. Like, I like to fuck with people a little bit, just see what happens. Like, how do they react to it? And it tells me a little bit about what kind of person they are. But I don't know. I'd say I can really appreciate if someone's wearing like certain articles of clothing. Kind of gives me a vibe. Like if you have like a certain style to you, I think it has the potential to convey a lot about who you are.
That's
And like
true.
it's also true that like people dress their stereotype a lot of times. So I think sometimes you can tell like if someone's like if a girl's like basic just by looking at what she's wearing.
What's the basic bitch uniform?
I'm really bad at naming like articles of clothing. I don't know what they're called. Right now I'm thinking of someone who's wearing Toms. Like a, oh man.
What do you think about people who wear Super Bowl champion Chiefs hats and like 5-year-old Under Armour t-shirts and cargo shorts?
Cargo shorts. That sounds like the worst way to end that. Like,
because here's the thing, I'm well into dadness. My daughter's about to turn 10. I'm a fucking dad. I wear cargo shorts. I still wear DC shoes, the skateboard shoes, which are not cool anymore, by the way. My girlfriend got me some for Father's Day, and she really had to look around for them. And they're straight up, like penny loafer.
Do you really like them? Is that why she was looking for them?
Because I wanted some, yeah. I wore out my old ones. My metal militias, they got worn the fuck out, and I told her I wanted new ones.
So you got a thing for, what is it about the DC brand that you like?
It's still around mostly. I actually used to wear Etnies more.
I don't even know what that is.
It's another skater shoe that had the E on it. Yeah. I always dressed for to not make a statement though.
Very similar to DC.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that's funny.
I agree with Sue's. LSEs aren't actually as aggressive or brash as they come across.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like TE can always be hard hitting, but I don't know. LSEs are especially more so. It's like with an SLE, it's manageable because it's still TI. Like, you know what I mean? Like the TE's there, the TE smack is there, SE smack is there, but it's like it makes sense. You know, it's not just shallow smack. Like if someone gives me shit and they do it and it makes sense and like I can question it and it makes sense besides just surface. I feel like what I'm calling surface level is TE here. Like, oh, it just doesn't make sense because it doesn't make sense. Like it's just right here. Like that doesn't tell me anything, you know? So when you can tell me that it doesn't make sense, or you can give me shit for it, and then you can be like, oh no, this is why. Like that's when I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like you actually ordered this, you structured it, it makes sense. Okay, I can appreciate that.
I've heard that sentiment out of a lot of ILIs too. That the force or aggression is sort of diluted by the logical consistency or the predictability of it.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Leah? VSCO. I don't understand that. Because I do not have enough subscribers to do Super Chat right now. However, if somebody feels like throwing some bones my way, I'm not going to say no.
Of course.
That is my PayPal account, and this is my Patreon.
Seizing an opportunity right now.
I can't even type my Patreon account. I gotta change my Patreon account name. It's
that's quite a sophisticated and classy email. TDB. Oh, those are your initials, right?
Yeah.
It's 5.
That's my Patreon account. StreamYard won't let me type it in the comments.
Yeah, that's very very like your channel.
Right. Yeah. Flow State was already taken. Fuck Flow State seemed like the next best thing. But I probably should change it.
Are you saying fuck Flow State to your Flow State or the Flow State that took your link?
however you want to apply it. Fuck float state. Fuck me too if I deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see, where were we? It's the smoking, maybe. You need super chats. I do need more subscribers to get monetized. Not normally. I really don't dream that much at all. Trey, do you remember your dreams? Are you an active dreamer?
You know, I've had a lot of dreams lately. I have. I don't know why. I've had a lot, though. Do I remember my dreams? Only if I've told them, like, after the fact. And then if I don't, like, there's some of them that I've told enough times that they're always stuck with me. But if I don't tell them enough times, then yeah, they'll leave me. Like, I vaguely remember one I had the other day of, like, it's so weird. There was like this, it's not even like profound, or it's just weird. Like, there was a huge, like, bouncy castle / water slide thing, but I mean massive, like the size of, like, if you take, like, the part of New York that's got, like, the biggest buildings, like the tallest buildings, it's like if you took out, like, several streets and you, like, like, gave it the same height. Like,
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, dude, it was fun. I remember I was going all through that shit, and there was, like, a building located inside of it and all kinds of cool shit. But yeah, it's very random, but yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got this comment, which is why I got this comment on my last video from the Overmind, and I thought it was pretty cool because it was like direct NI compliments and props. But he said, the century in which we live has witnessed the dawn of a new age. This age marks the beginning of the return of energies and entities which predate mankind by millennia on this earth. The first signs of this return of energies are picked up by incredibly subtle, sensitive antennas of poets, writers, artists, etc. The visions of such inhuman and ultracosmic revelations take place in the most hideous of nightmares. Have you been dreaming? I said, I don't normally dream. Are you suggesting I'm one of these antennas? And the response was yes. I was like, I'm a mystic.
Yeah. Communicate with aliens. Spread God's word.
I'm a sensitive antenna to the gods above. So you're probably more of a sensitive antenna, or at least I assume all IEIs are. So that's why I ask. I kind of felt like I need to start dreaming.
Not by choice.
Some of them are mistyped as fuck. Certainly there's a lot of that. Hypernormalization. Have you heard of it? It's the conspiracies against the U.S. by the Soviet Union that, and I give me a shit ton of anxiety. I have not watched it. If it's a recent thing, I believe that almost all of the Russia alarm bells going off in our politics right now are almost, I think that most of them are political positioning and BS. There's a lot of Democrats hollering about Trump colluding with Russia, which seems super disingenuous and silly to me when you realize that nobody has sold America to the Russians more than Bill Clinton. But I'm not trying to dive down.
I don't know how to go this direction. So
okay.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. You can go that, but I won't know how to follow you.
Peace and respect to you too, Richard. What not to say to an SLE or how to piss them off. Trey, you got that?
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. I think it kind of depends. Because, like, I think what might make sense, it's just tough because I can imagine an SLE like not caring or caring very easily, like either way. You know, like if you start talking shit or you start saying shit to them, like I can imagine them very easily dismissing it like it doesn't matter, like they don't care. But I think one thing that will probably really affect them is if you tell them that what they're doing isn't important. You know what I mean? Like, I think most of the time they're like driving and they're like not sure exactly whether or not what they're doing is really important, but like they're hoping that it is. You know what I mean? And
That's probably true.
yeah, and like I always say the analogy of that, like it's like the SLEs in traffic, and you know, like an IEI might be like on a building and might be like watching. Like it's not like the eye's going anywhere. The SLE is like in traffic, so they don't know what's coming next. Like, it could slap them. Like they're not sure, you know. And I think a lot of times, like even what's driving them is important. And like this is something I admire about SLEs is that they feel things viscerally. And I was literally talking to Damon about this today because we were listening to some really badass music and like powerful
What was it?
powerful music. Oh, like classical.
Like Beethoven?
Yeah, like well, I mean, lots of shit. I don't even know because I don't have the taste to know. But he was going through them all, and I was like, one thing that I admire is that like SLEs feel things viscerally. Like the emotion of an IEI and the emotion of an SLE, the SLE may have more powerful emotion than an IEI. Because for IEI, it's mental, like it's not visceral. Like an SLE feels the shit like in their body, and that's like really fucking cool. Like I kind of wish I had that kind of like connection to my emotions where I felt it and it flooded me. You know, where something could happen and it like really impacted me. And that's something I feel like SLEs have a sensitivity to experience that I'm not even privy to. Like shit doesn't even phase me. You know, like I'll just like whatever, like it's not even significant. Whereas like I think SLEs feel the shit on another level. And so if you I'm trying to wrap this around about if you like make them feel like what they're doing isn't important, then that's I mean it's really important to them. They wanna do something that has meaning, that's purposeful, that's gonna change things, you know?
And that will throw us for a loop because we don't come up for air a lot. And I think that every SLE has regularly gotten caught in situations where they either stick with something too long or jumped out of something too soon. You know, it's the 4-slot NI problems. You get so into the grind of things that you don't. If somebody says, "Hey, big picture, you're off course," it's like, "Oh fuck, now I need to look around at this stuff." But I would, in response to this question, I would say don't any sort of a direct threat.
Oh yeah, that's much better of an answer.
A direct threat is guaranteed to be responded to aggressively.
Yeah, I agree.
And if we get the sense that that you're trying to manipulate us or take us for a ride, or you're acting friendly but in bad faith, that won't as good as immediate a response. But trust and believe it'll come back around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? Back on the threat thing, you can dislike us, you can disagree with us, but challenges are challenges. Like, you have to respond to that. There's some sort of code to that. Those have to be dealt with, and respect is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say something about that. Oh yeah. One time we had a guest over, and the guest basically accused Damon of like being racist, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he like sometimes it's things like this that really like hit me, because I don't even perceive the shit. So in this example, he got really like upset about it, and he was like, I let you into my home, right? He started talking about all the things he was doing for them, like out of being a good host. And like these were all these boundaries and like lines that like I didn't realize, so like when he said it, it really smacked me, because I was like, fuck, like I didn't even think about any of that. They just walked in. Like, it wasn't like they walked into my apartment. It was like they just walked into a apartment. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it didn't feel like I was inviting someone into I don't know. And that's why I mean, like, that's what I mean by visceral. And like, there's like a kind of depth of experience that they have that
Oh yeah.
I'm jealous of.
I've been in fights. Yeah, in your own house is a much bigger. If somebody disrespects you in your own house,
I wouldn't even think about it.
It's so offensive that anytime it's happened to me, I've had to check with the person to see if they understood who I was and where we were.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least you're courteous enough to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe they're just an idiot,
Well, they always have been. It's like that. It's that one check. Like, do you know where you are? And then when inevitably they do, then shit hits the fan. It hasn't happened to me since college, but there was some fights in college over that, for sure.
It's funny. One time we were pulling into the apartment, right? And there was a car, and it was like parked. It was like parked on the side of the road, but it was like in the middle, right? And he like had to drive around it, and he was like, "Fucking dumbass." And then like he like pulled in, and he was like, I used to really get upset at people like that. He was like, and then I met you, and I realized maybe they're just oblivious. Like he has a little bit of forgiveness for people like doing dumb shit, because he's like, maybe you just don't fucking see this shit.
Something my ex-wife gave me, she's still brings it up to this day, is when we were dating, we'd gone out to the bars and we'd ordered pizza after we left the bar, and timing it so that it would get to the house when we did. And when I got to the house, the pizza guy had beat us there. He was just walking up to the porch, and we had a long driveway. We were living in a house, and he had parked in the center of the driveway, all the fucking way at the back. And
wow.
And I almost got in a fight with him over it. That was so fucking irritating to me. I couldn't even stand myself.
Wow.
I'm much more chill than that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, in your own house, there's territory. Turf comes into play, and that is a very real, very visceral thing.
Did we ever answer that question by Lau? Or
which?
The one that, yeah, I don't think we did.
How do you communicate you're competent? Like, if you were a hiring manager, what things would make you hire someone? I I used to hire people who I could interact with. I mean, that was first and foremost the most important thing, is they had to be able to interact with me in a way that when I used to hire, a lot of people would be nervous of me, and it's normal to be nervous in an interview situation, and especially in person, I've got kind of a commanding presence. I needed somebody who I wouldn't have to worry about whether or not they could communicate with me.
Right.
That was a big one, and it's just kind of obvious. Another thing was they had to have basic intelligence. It's shocking how many people can't do basic math or logic or reasoning. There's a shitload of stupid people for real. And low drama. It's all basically interpersonal skills. Every position I've ever hired for, you can teach the person the skill, you can teach the person the job, if they can just be a reliable, functional human being who interacts with me.
Mm-hmm. For Damon, I'm pretty sure he's told me situations of like making hiring decisions or like helping with hiring, and it's a really tough sales job. So he would just be really hard on the person and like kind of tough. And then like if they could handle it or they like navigated it well, then it was like maybe this person can take the heat, that they need to be able to take to do the job well. So.
Sure. Yeah, we're SLEs. We're not managers. We can lead shit, and we kind of prefer it, really, but we don't want to manage people. We don't want to micromanage you. We want to give you a job. We want to show you what function needs to be handled, and then let you handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, micromanaging doesn't sound.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Sounds like a.
It's insulting to you, we feel like, and it's a waste of our time. So if somebody's going to need care, we just as well do without you.
Mm-hmm. I don't have an opinion on the hiring manager thing, personally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was a cool compliment. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it is a big banana. You're like Dude Pukoki. I'm an SLE and my brother is an IEI or INFP. And the only time I get pissed with him when I feel like he's being overly petulant. I don't know if he's an older or younger brother, but INFPs are our conflictor type. Yeah, I don't know. They find us abrasive and aggressive when we're just being ourselves, and we find them judgmental and sensitive when they're just being them. It's a bad match. Maybe you two might be conditioned into each other a bit. Trey, thoughts?
We were talking about like how assertive. He was talking about how like he's been at work and he's been getting comments about how he's like pushy or assertive, and he didn't even realize it. Like he was like, oh my God, like I didn't realize I was being, or it was that obvious. And then like I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't really think he's that pushy. Like I was like, are you sure, man? And he was like, you don't even react to it. He's like, with everyone else, it's a problem. He's like, it's like it doesn't even faze you. And I think like maybe that would be you're trying to figure out if he's IEI or INFP, or maybe he's just translating both versions of the type. But usually they're not going to react like the same way as other people would. Like I feel like IEIs aren't, like the SE isn't going to hit them as hard, Like,
Yeah, I think they interpret the SC as malicious FI. I think
malicious?
I think the interpretation is that if somebody's using that abrasive and assertive of mannerisms, it's fueled by some sort of FI or meanness, when it's really not. They just don't operate that way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that at least that's what I think.
I don't know.
Andy thinks you're cute.
Thank you.
She's already my sugar mama.
It's
Fuck
better
off.
than the Pukoki compliment.
What annoys you the most about NE ego types? What should we keep in mind while speaking to interacting with SE egos? Moving the target. A lot of times, especially with ENTPs, the conversation or debate or discussion, it's jumpy, and it feels to us like, because we're trying to wrestle down and pin down a fucking point, and it feels like ENTPs are moving around and playing little games, linguistic games, the definition game. Well, how do you define this shit? And after pretty quickly, that sort of stuff starts feeling disingenuous and frustrating. Like we're not really trying to find some truth here, are we? We're showing off our wittiness. So I would say that's more of an ENTP response. ENFPs it'd probably be a different response, but it's in the similar vein of too ungrounded. There needs to be something in this interaction that's grounding this person, and a lot of times there's not. Thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it reminded me of that last part you said. It reminded me of Damon's been like, man, I always feel like you're a fucking cloud, and I'm trying to strap you down.
Strap you down, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting choice of words.
Come on, man. Don't do
What?
that shit. That's not what I meant.
Fine, I won't notice it.
No, but as far as the anything, I met an SLE girl that she was saying like she's trying to remove all ambiguity so it's easier to make choices.
And I understand that that's the rationalization that's always given, but I don't feel like that's the truth most of the time. And I also don't feel like restricting definitions actually helps clarify things. Because at some point you get caught in this trap where you've defined words or terms too tightly, and now the communication has lost what it originally had. I mean, a huge part of communication is transmitted through not technical, precise definitions. And if you restrict all communication just to the precision of the linguistics, you lose a lot of the ability to actually communicate.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, probably need a little bit of both. For myself, small comment. For myself, I always feel like, I don't know. I want to explore the idea. I want to like get to know the idea for what it is. I feel like in theory, I think about it and I'm like, oh yeah, talking to like an ILE, for example, would probably be pretty good at working this problem out. You know, because it's kind of abstract, but they could like give better TI. And then like in practice, when I talk to them, there's not enough focus for me to like keep it on like what I'm shooting for, you know? So I'm like, man, like this is what I'm trying to hit. And they're like wandering off. But I know the question was about SE ego.
So do you ping their situational awareness, sense of contextual depth, and determination, conviction through conversation? I don't know what prompted this question, but I think I picked that up just by watching people's body language, or I can look at somebody sitting on a bus and have a pretty damn good ping of how present the environment they are. And determination or conviction, you can read somebody's tenacity in their posture. So I can ping most of that stuff just by looking at somebody. I do prod that out and say, like, an interview situation, when if that's an interview question, then yes, I do try to ping out these things. I look for those personality traits and competencies, and then worry about the skill later. How to flirt with SLEs versus how do SLEs flirt? I know this will differ from person to person, but I'm guessing people who value SE might share similar opinions. I don't know. How to flirt with SLEs. I mean, I think that we're pretty straightforward. This is kind of hard to answer because I think that we're very straightforward, direct, and obvious. But I know that I've confused girls in the past, and I think that what it boils down to is that SLEs are direct and assertive sexually, or you can treat it like a conquest or like any other thing to achieve or game to win. But when sexual flirting turns into interpersonal FI stuff and feelings,
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, then we're confused and you're confused and we're confused because you're confused. And so flirting's the easy part.
You bring FI into the like equation, and it's gonna be like baggage to the SLE. Like the room was light, things were fun, and then now you're saying like you're saying these, like, almost like there's a problem or there's like something to work out, and it becomes serious to a degree. Like even I can see even a conversation of somebody being like questioning what you are with that person or whatever. Really, dude? Take it a few more notches, you'll be like, Eric.
I got this shit from Eric. This is actually, I took this one from my old work, but I had one that Eric gave me after he came and visited me. He sent me one in the mail, and it was great, but it got stolen off my porch. But the habit has lasted me because these are great porch lighters or garage lighters. They don't ever get lost. Katie, my girlfriend, doesn't put them in her purse.
Mm-hmm.
But
what I was gonna say is they want to keep it light and fun. So like, if you start bringing in like how you feel about that person or how they feel about you or whatever, it's like, I feel like, and then you get upset about something, and like if an SLE just wants to get the problem solved. If there's a problem, like if something comes up and it's an issue and it's fucking with the mood, like they want to focus on it, solve it, and then move on. Like we need to work it out, and then we can continue and everything will be cool. But I think some people like hold on to it, and then it's like, and there's a problem in the background, and it's like something that keeps fucking with the atmosphere. And I think like SLEs need the shit to be light, otherwise it's gonna really bother them.
Be really careful about reading into what we're doing or saying or how we're acting as a deeper thing. I know for me, I always like pursuing girls, and it's fun. It's an activity. Mm-hmm. I don't expect to win them all. But I do enjoy interacting with people, mm-hmm. and I enjoy winning the ones I win, And, you know, even the ones I lose, I'm still having a good time talking to a hot chick, right? It's fun. And when it moves out of fun into serious, it feels jolting. And we're never ready for it, no matter how long y'all been together. At some point, the girl is gonna go, "What's next?" or "How do you feel about me?" or something to try to. And we're never ready for it. It always catches us by surprise, even if we know that it shouldn't catch us by surprise. It's like, oh shit, this familiar confusion again. So I don't know.
IEIs are so well equipped to deal with that shit, truly. Like, and they don't. I've noticed in myself, I also am like that. Like, I don't really like to get into those conversations unless I'm stating something about myself, you know, like I'm not going to ask the person like, or involve them and be like, well, I don't like, how do you feel about this? If there's something I want to express, like I will, but I'm not going to expect them to match me or something. You know what I mean? And I don't really like getting into it either. Like
part of the problem with that question is that we don't know. We literally actually don't know the answer to this question. So when a girl asks us, or you know, how we feel, or tries to turn it into something more serious, the shitbag response you get is not necessarily a bad response. It's just a confused one. It's truly a confused one because we don't know how the fuck we feel. Things have been going fine. This is fun. I'm having fun. You're having fun. You're hot. I'm hot. We do things like, well, I don't know. You know, and
you're hot, I'm hot. It's all good in the world, man.
The way out of that, at least it seems to me like the most successful way out of that is for the non-SLE to slowly lead the SLE to interpersonal intimacy, and it will either come along or we sure as fuck won't. But we can't project whether we will or we won't until we're already being kind of pulled that way.
So Damon texted me about something, so I could read this regarding the stream he's watching. They always feel like it's an FI thing. When I'm abrasive, it's like they think I don't like them. So I fixed it by not changing my assertiveness, but just showing them that I don't not like them by checking in on them daily instead of leaving them to their own devices after I've given them the job duty.
Yeah, checking in is a good sign. If we check in with you, we like you. If we don't check in with you, we still could like you. You know, it's just
didn't cross your mind to check on you.
Yeah, checking on you is a good sign.
I feel like a lot of times SLEs just run towards things that like they like and that are like fun and they enjoy. And like I really think of it like they don't. This is so interesting to me because they're not using R, right? So to them, the interaction is defined by the interaction now. So you could say that if I want to know like whether or not you liked me, for example, it would just be judging our interaction now, right? Like it's almost like when you walk into a warm room, you walk into the warm room and you feel the warmth. And I think for SLE, it's the same way with emotions. Like if you walk into an area where it's fun and where you're enjoying yourself, like that's what defines that relationship. They don't quite realize it, but they might realize when I'm hanging out with that person, it's a lot of fun. You know what I mean? But it's not like it's not personalized in any sense. A lot of times, it can be, but those are like really much further away in terms of like for the SLE. It takes a lot longer. I feel like to get to that point where that closeness is obvious, but it's definitely defined by the emotional experience and nothing else. You know, it's like how you're emotionally experiencing that person. So yeah.
Yeah, that's probably very true. And the other thing I would say is that if the next day if you want more than just a one-night stand, then you need to put yourself in a position to be pursued or to be contacted. Because I know I'm used to more often than not, girls start trying to contact me before I want to talk. And real quick, it gets annoying. I'll get in touch with you when I want to get in touch. A little reminder here, a little reminder there might be good. But I've had girls show up at my house and leave notes on the door that, hey, you didn't answer my calls. Like, no fucking shit. Don't be that person. So try to make yourself a commodity, not a hassle. Overmind. What kind of bender? High valuing NE users. Maybe. I don't know what they're doing. We got to catch up. We're sort of behind.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're way past answering the question that we came here for. I'm going to keep rolling with this. Stay with me as long as you want. If you're ready to bow out, though, you can dip out anytime. There's no covert contracts here. Emotional constipation may be the root of all misunderstanding, possibly. How do you get along with 7-wing 6 alpha extroverts and IEEs? Is the balancing NE-FE combo annoying, cringy? It depends on the person, really. That type can be obnoxious as fuck or insightful and interesting. So that's really a hit or miss type combination right there. I've observed that LSIs, ESIs tend to not understand people of these types. I wonder about SLEs. Yeah, both of those types are NE polar, so they don't understand NE at all. SLEs have weak NE, 2D NE, but we get it enough to
very narrow.
Huh?
So they're very narrow types.
Right. We're not as extreme as those two types are with NE.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that role NE does a lot of good for that. It's kind of like comparing a EIE and an IEI. Like the EIE is usually going to be a lot more intense. Like that lack of SI with that mobilizing SE is just like constant pushing. Whereas like look at an IEI, like what do you see that constant pushing? Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a fair comparison too with the LSIs versus SLEs. That role NE really kicks in, really helps.
Let's see. We do use a lot of abbreviations. LSC is in the Estp, roughly. LSI is an ISTP. IEI is an INFJ. INFJs are IEI. It stands for intuitive, ethical, introvert. Yeah, what the fuck, guys?
This is outrageous. You guys call yourself viewers?
Taylor, what do you think of IEI's tendency to never assert facts external to the conversation? Do you notice their vulnerable extroverted logic? Is it ever nice, even though it is a weakness? Tendency to never assert facts external to the conversation. I haven't noticed that particular habit.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
I guess
don't know any facts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess now that I think about it, it's there, but it hasn't jumped out to me before. Their vulnerable logic I noticed it more in inability to manifest. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's a great idea. You understand shit. You know, you've got all the mental components. Now do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's difficult as fuck.
Which is why you need to do communication advice for all the rest of the combinations. You need to just kind of start ticking these things off. You can write a book and you know, all that shit.
I will say, contrary to this, I've heard Damon said that he appreciates that to some degree. I would say I really appreciate the lack of FI and SLEs. Like, I feel like it makes things like smoother, you know, like clear, smooth continuity from interaction to interaction. So yeah, I can actually really appreciate the lack of FI.
Leah, I don't doubt that happens sometimes. I was just answering what annoys us about the type, and for an SE Dom, it feels like you're doing what I described. Although I have no doubt it's of course a mixture of both. SLE woman and IEI man duality. I don't know, Trey. You want to
I
feel
would
that one?
this is something I've had a problem with for the IEI descriptions and the IEI like romance styles. The victims, that's like not my like preference, or yeah, like fuck that, like 100%. So I've literally had people take that assumption and talk to me as though I'm some kind of sub or like submissive type, and I'm like, what? Like, why are you talking to me like that? Like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? And then they're like, oh, well, you should like that. And I'm like, no, I don't fucking like that. Like, watch yourself. You know what I mean? Like, fuck no. So, like, no. I think it's, I think I do recognize that SLE women are probably going to be, I don't know. I've seen SE doesn't always push. I think one thing that you'll find with SLEs commonly is that they like there's something they like about traditions. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say it's the case every time, but I think there are a lot of SLEs that really appreciate like traditional shit and like the value that's in traditional shit. And so I could see an SLE woman having a lot of respect for gender roles. I think it's very possible, and I think that would influence whether or not they take a dominant position. Because I know how SLE men are, but I don't think it's always going to be like that with SLE women. And I'd say the same with IEI men. I've seen IEI men that like every time I've had a problem with it, like I've made like a whole post ranting about it, so people got it through their heads that not all IEIs are like that, you know. And I've seen on those posts, like I've seen IEI guys like admit to being that way and like preferring to take the back seat or like the submissive position or something, and like that doesn't apply to me at all. So I think it just depends. I think like generally SLEs are pretty assertive, so I think it makes sense. But at the same time, there's some things the SLE type isn't going to be that great at doing. So I think it just depends, like whether how much they value that part that they're not really doing very well. And I think that the respect for those things that the SLE is not very good at can create a dynamic that easily puts the IEI in a dominant position as well. I hope that answered the question. I feel like I was trying to cover everything.
Yeah, I think so. I don't. I've had experiences with SLE women. It feels incestuous, sort of.
What's that?
we're both sort of doing the same thing to each other, you know, and the other person's mirroring us more than they're like playing their fucking part or doing what we anticipate them to do. It's like, well, it's like we're both trying to be on top or something.
Oh, so a flighty one, huh?
Huh?
A flighty one, huh?
I guess.
Kind of reddish.
Somebody said earlier that they weren't familiar with the acronym, so I'll leave that up for a second if you want to screenshot it or whatever. And we'll jump back to the comments.
Yeah.
That's correct. It is a it's a plumber's torch. Good job. We started off with a topic. It's evolved to where we're at now. Now we're just going with the flow. Overmind. I mentioned your comment on my other video because you alluded to me being a sensitive antenna to the gods. I really liked that comment. I know I've told Trey before that I feel like my NE is constantly yanking me in different directions. I'm trying to practice staying on a specific point and tying everything together concisely. I don't know if you do this or not. I haven't experienced it with you. I'm just saying it's a recurring ENTP gripe I have. You may not do it. You may not need to work on it. And certainly some do it more than others. What's up, Ho? Maybe not you, but like I've left the ENTP Facebook group a couple times now throughout my life because there's just too many fucking douchebag young men trying to flex their cleverness on other people in a Facebook group. It just gets annoying. It's funny. I don't know how far back we're at on these. I'm never the one wanting to make things serious. It's funny. I always make it the man's job. I would never be like, so what are we? What are we? I'm clear from the start. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if I believe that entirely. In this tangent, any SE advice in that area is always appreciated. Certainly. It's just my perspective. So, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean doesn't guarantee it's right, although it's a strong indicator. Because I have the power.
You should just leave his there.
I know. And actually, I lost my spot in the comments, so it's going to hang out there for a second.
Yeah. So
question for the red hat dude. No. I'm Taylor. I'm the one whose channel this is. That's Trey. Trey's got his own channel. I'll probably link it in the description box after we're done if I remember.
It's Trey4l.
This is correct.
you really want to see a natural high, go to my channel.
Yeah, Trey's for real natural high. I'm just in recovery.
Two walks of life.
You know, it's the only highs I got left. ILEs do the checking on things too. I don't know what the context for this is, but I approve of it.
Yeah.
Bet.
You guys have questions regarding SLE, IEI duality?
Leah, I've smoked a lot of meth with NE DOMs, and it actually calms them the fuck down. Stop being fussy, Damon.
We're slowly getting through these. By the time you get through them, they might have more questions.
I know. I don't know if we're catching up or if they're.
Beta questions, SLE, IEI questions.
So Trey, what communication? What types are you gonna get onto next about communicating?
Oh yeah, those are the funniest ones because I always watch the SLEs argue and I'm watching the conversation, and when you see like Delta and F and like SLEs talk, I'm hearing them both and I'm understanding them both, but the other one's not catching what they're saying for both ways, and I'm like when I see that, it's the trippiest thing. It really is, because it's like you have some kind of esoteric knowledge or something. Like you're just seeing, I don't know how you could miss what someone was saying so much, and that's what creates the disparity. And it's really fascinating to watch, but but yeah, I think FI types should keep in mind that SLE is probably not even thinking about who it is they're talking to, but what the conversation is about, the premise of it or the principles. But as far as, I don't really have much criticism of any other types. Those are the ones that are most obvious to me as to their disparity.
I think that if you could figure out how to communicate with SEEs, that's a type that the typology community at large seems to not understand or know how to deal with.
Why is that?
It's not a type that's represented here a lot, and it is an SE dom. It's an aggressive type. So
I feel like, I mean, I've been writing some articles and stuff recently, or been writing some content, and I've been going to SEs for feedback and stuff, and or their thoughts, and I seem to get along pretty well. I have a SE friend too. What is it that's underrepresented or not understood?
I mean, do you know a lot of SEEs in the typology community?
Yeah, I know a few.
You know more. You're more of a social butterfly than I am. It just seems like ESFPs and SEEs are underrepresented, and a lot of times the ones that do come here do get into typology are weird. There's
they're pretty sociable, honestly. Like SEs are so happy and positive. Like it's insane. Obviously they're not always going to be like that, but I've just noticed that they have a very, very, very positive way.
I was just saying, to join that group because there's none of that shit there. I didn't mean to cut you off or distract you.
Oh yeah, no problem. Just saying that I think they're very positive, and of course I've seen SEs get pushy, But I think it bites or stings a little different than like it would with SLE because there's better FE there. But yeah, no, I don't think it's. I think actually, I'm surprised you said it the way you did because it makes me imagine somebody who like is misunderstood. You know what I mean? But like from my understanding or from my experience, like everyone loves them, or like a lot of people love them a lot. And I've seen comments on like how positive they are several times. So.
Trey, would you wear a MAGA hat in public?
No. Wait. What's the context?
Just I don't know.
If you were like
you explain the context that would matter.
Okay. Probably not because that's not like I don't really have strong positions on politics, but I would say that I could see myself doing it to create a stir or to create conversation or to attract attention just for fun, you know, kind of like, oh, I'm going to wear this hat and see what I get. Maybe people just hate my guts, or maybe, you know, or maybe I get like a nod of respect. You know, I'm not sure if you know this, but it's like a thing within the Corvette owner community that they like nod to each other. Have you seen that? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. They have this ritual. If you're driving a Corvette. Oh, yo, I used to have that thing, man.
But would you wear a whole Trump face out in public?
That's actually easier to do. Yeah, that's actually easier to do because you wear a hat and people take it seriously. You do that.
It's kind of hard to see through these things, though.
Yeah.
NI is like shrooms, NE is like cocaine. I would agree with that. Trey, thoughts?
Acid.
You know what? I've never done acid. I've never had an acid trip. I've done acid once. It wasn't. I didn't take enough of it. It just made the lights at the strip club a little bit buggy.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Thank you. Adderall. I used to be on Adderall.
I could probably use some Adderall. Today I started realizing I don't really notice a difference when I drink coffee, but today I noticed that I'm like really bad at focusing on something. And I'm still really bad when I take coffee, but it's a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't take Adderall anymore because I'm in recovery from meth. So, and that stuff is all bad. I didn't see you say anything rude, but we know you're not weird.
She's SEE.
I didn't say I think you're weird. I think you guys are lovely people. I think there are a lot of people in the type community who are INTPs, which is your conflictor type, who don't know how to manage that relationship. I think that would be a valuable one. I think we're catching up, actually. I got more faces, too.
Who else do you have? In reality, I'm just trying to slow him down so he doesn't catch up to the comments. You guys need to hurry it up.
I got baby face, and I got predator.
That's
this thing's
sick.
fucking sick. Yeah,
Dude.
This is the real deal. I actually had to kill a predator to get this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Right?
That is.
Yeah, he tried to do the arm thing and explode me with a self-destruct, motherfucker.
That's like being on a call with somebody and then realizing they're like Kanye or something. Like, respect, just like, I don't even know how to address you anymore.
Right. I don't mix real well with THC, which is strange.
Me either.
I wish I did. It's not for lack of trying.
Yeah, same.
See, this is a pure NI question. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. I just jumped down to the bottom here, and I'll give it about 10 more minutes, and then we'll wrap this up. Do you know what Timmer's system is?
Sort of.
Okay, should we skip that?
Yeah. Well, okay. I could actually. We'll go back to that. I don't really know a lot about his system.
I do.
But one thing that I noticed was that when they type, they like when he types people, he doesn't type them based off socionics. Like he types based off socionics, but like only to a certain extent. If he sees things that seem weird, instead of trying to say like, oh, we need to account for this in socionics, he turns to psychosophy or whatever it's called. And
what are you talking about?
Timur?
I don't know Timur.
Yeah, he refers to a whole other system, and he uses it to validate socionics. And it's like, I don't know. I don't really think it's smart. Like, if you're gonna type someone, like for example, why would I use why would I say, oh, you're not an SLE. You're a ESI that's a type 8. You know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't take that information and skew it. I should measure only by the system that I'm
I don't
trying
know
to
the specifics of what you're talking about, but I do agree that when people try to rationalize the type they've given themselves by pulling in other shit, it's a really bad sign for the accuracy of their typing.
Yeah, agreed. And if you want to type them on the other thing too, sure, but they need to be separated, like very clearly separated. I mean, someone said it's not that simple either. The benchmarking is completely different, but I watched the whole video of him breaking down and explaining how they do it, and I was listening to how he explained it, and they weren't considering them separately. It was intermixed.
And back on the using Enneagram to rationalize a type not fitting, to a certain extent, and I know that there's no hard and fast rule for this, but certain things like type 8, for instance, is a gut type. It's very visceral. It's not introspective. Like these are explicitly stated attributes of type 8. So to have a visceral, non-introspective gut type be an intuitive Dom, something doesn't fit there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of people running around claiming that they're ENTP for sure, and INTJ, and type 8. It's like, well, probably not. One of those things is probably off. Leah, do you live in Kansas City? We were going to do something, and then, I don't know, shit happened. Then Corona happened. Kat helped me figure that out, and also it was because 7s are avoidant and 6s are confrontational, and it just fits better. It was hard to figure out because it's my last fix, so the impact on my personality is small either way. But
did you see all the memes I made about Jack?
no, I've been trying to not get in so many useless Facebook fights, which has turned into me just not getting on Facebook that much.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to send you the I have to send you some of them. They're funny. Because like the thing is, Timur typed Jack SLE, so I made a bunch of memes. Yeah, really good stuff.
I don't actually spill any secrets, but I let people think that I'm spilling secrets. Speaking of Facebook and Facebook fighting, Jamie is like a fixture of positive posting in a sea of bullshit on social media. Demon Windu is a commenter, and I think that he's interesting and antagonistic and has broken ass English. I don't know. He thinks he's an ENTP. I don't know if I don't have a clue what he is. I'm a very visual, kinetic person. I need to see somebody to type them, or at least hear them speak, so I can kind of feel their whatever.
Hey, I sent you those memes. I think you'd like them. I put a good amount of work on Facebook if you want to.
Okay.
You can put it on stream.
Let's take a look at these memes. What if they suck though?
Nah, dude, they're good. They're good. You got to remember though, the theme is that Jack's an SLE, right? So that's important because all of the memes were based around that. Oh, I sent you one extra picture. The first one's not part of it. Yeah. Let's see what we got down here.
What is that? Is that Jack's face?
That's Jack's face, and that's Tamir's face. I took Tamir's face from a picture, and I stretched it to Frieza, and then yeah, and then that was a thumbnail I did for Jack. Yeah, that was an accident. But yeah.
That one's the best.
Yeah, that was the impetus. That was the first one.
Yeah, that's for sure the best. All right, they're all right. The Dragon Ball Z stuff is a reference that goes right past me. I'm way too much of a Chad to have anything to do with anime.
It's just I don't know. It's supposed to be like set them up like they're about to have a duel. Those two were like mortal enemies. Shit's hilarious. It was fun to make too. I mean, it took me forever to like get the faces on there right. And and Tamir, I had to go through like years of his YouTube videos to find a profile picture of him so I could put him on the This is Socionics where he's getting kicked. I literally had to go back like 6 years, I think, just to get his face doing this.
I mean, our own secrets are just tactical vulnerabilities. No, we care about them, just not in the way that a lot of people care about theirs. I appreciate it, bro. I try. I do try. All right.
Time to go.
I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
All right.
Down. People are done with questions, so.
Trey, thanks for joining me. Chat box, thanks for joining. Thanks for questioning and commenting. I feel like I have some house cleaning things. Okay. If you're familiar with BitChute, there's a flow state channel on BitChute. If you're not, what it is it's an alternative platform to YouTube. It doesn't do the bullshit data mining. It doesn't censor things. Some of my videos have started meandering into community guideline violating topic areas. So I'll put a link to that in the comments below, but join BitChute, check that out, and help continue the migration away from Big Brother, not just with me, but with everybody. And like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Check out Trey's channel.
Trey4l.
Adios.
Peace.